Recently, a popular topic on YouTube has been how to be obsessed with yourself. There are a lot of videos about how to hack your brain, how to optimize yourself, how to be your best version and unrecognizable by December. A system, a hack, a routine, something that will change your brain. I watched a bunch of these videos. Sometimes I still watch them. But recently, I've been thinking, what are we actually running from? 2 weeks ago, I watched this movie called Train Dreams with my best friend. She's in Brazil, I am in Canada, and we both cried at the end of the movie. It's a heartbreaking movie. It's about life. So many things. Life, death, lost, next steps, not having next steps, being stuck, being hopeful, and nothing changes. But it's mostly about a life that's lived when no one is watching. And after watching it, I had to read the novella as well, because I needed to absorb as much as possible from this story. Robert Grainer is a laborer in the early 900s America. He hauls timber, he helps build a railroad bridge across a gore in Idaho. He falls in love with a woman called Gladys. They have a daughter, and they build something small and real together in the woods. And then a wildfire takes everything. His wife, his daughter, his home, everything is gone. And he is what the story does that no inspirational video would dare do. It doesn't make him overcome it. It doesn't give him a comeback arc. He just continues. He builds a small cabin. He lives alone for decades. He hears wolves. He gets old. He dies. That's the whole story. And it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. But before any of that, before Gladys, before the fire, there is a moment at the very beginning of the story that I haven't been able to shake. A Chinese worker is thrown off a bridge by the crew. Grainer is there. He doesn't stop it. And the story never lets him forget it. Not dramatically, not loudly. It just stays. And I think about that a lot. The things we did or did not do that we carry quietly. The Stoics had a word for this. Not guilt as a punishment, but guilt as something you metabolize. You can't change what happened. You can only choose who you are after. And Grainer never gets absolution. He just keeps moving. And somehow that feels more true than any apology arc I've ever seen. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." And Grainer never read that, but he lived it every single day. And the Stoics believe that suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from our resistance to what happens. And Grainer, this quiet man in the woods, doesn't resist. He doesn't perform grief for anyone. He doesn't document his healing journey. He just holds it and keeps chopping wood. There is something Stoics call amor fati, love of fate, not tolerance of fate, love of it. The idea that everything that happens, even the hardest things, is part of the whole. Grainer doesn't love the fire, but he doesn't fight the fact that it happened. And somehow that's more honest than any 5-step recovery plan I've ever seen on this platform. One of the most stunning things the movie does is this. When a moment is being lived, the colors are full, warm present, like the world is turned up. But when it's a memory, the colors pulls back. Not dramatically, just slightly less, like heat leaving a room. And what's interesting is it's not the same for every memory. It depends on how Robert felt in that moment. The memories of Gladys are warmer, the bridge colder, almost gray. There is actually a concept in psychology called emotion congruent memory, the idea that we don't just remember what happened, we remember how we felt, and the feeling shapes the image. Two people can live the same moment and remember completely different colors. That's what the film understands. Memory isn't a recording, it's a feeling with edges, and some feelings we keep warmer than they were, and some we let go cold. And I think that's the most honest thing any filmmaker has done with the idea of memory. We don't remember in high definition, we remember in feeling, and feeling fades. Not because it wasn't real, but because that's what time does. And maybe that's not sad. Maybe that's just true. And I think there is something else happening too. We talk a lot, especially now, especially online, about feeling good, about regulating your emotions, optimizing your mindset, staying positive, and I get it. I really do. But there is a whole conversation we are not having, that some of the most honest things we've ever made, art, music, writing, came from people who were overwhelmed, who were grieving, who were angry and didn't fix it first. Brené Brown talks about how we can't selectively numb emotions. When we numb the hard ones, we numb the good ones too. And I think that's what Train Dreams quietly argues. Grenier doesn't optimize his grief. He feels it fully, and something true comes out the other side. All feelings are valid, the hard ones especially. They are not problems to solve, they are part of being alive. We are sold constantly the idea that a small life is a life half lived. That if you are not building something, scaling something, becoming something, you are wasting it. But Train Dreams asks a different question. What if the man who lived quietly in the woods, who loved one woman, who worked with his hands, who listened to wolves at night, what if he got it more right than any of us? Not because ambition is wrong, but because we've confused visibility with meaning. We've confused an audience with a life. Grenier had no followers, no content, no brand, and his life in Denis Johnson's hand is worth more pages than most empires. I don't know what you're building. I don't know what you're running toward or what you're running from, but I think Train Dreams is worth your time. Not because it will motivate you, not because it will fix anything, but because it might remind you that a small life, fully felt, is not a consolation prize. It might be the whole point. Thanks for watching and subscribe.